There she
Hey.
is. Look at you.
Hey, you look
Hi.
amazing. Are those the dresses behind you right now?
Can
Girl,
we
I'm
talk
about to
about them?
die.
Can we talk about, well, we're going to talk about them,
Oh
but
my
this,
God.
I am out of my home and
I,
I am at Prada, and these are the gowns that you wore.
oh my God. It
And
just throws me back. It just makes me feel like we're right back on set, and it just makes me so like emotional to see them. I feel the feelings, each dress, each scene, it's that's so crazy. Well, first of all, I want to make sure I'm saying your name right. Is it Samira or Samira?
Samira,
Samira. Okay, perfect, perfect. Night. It's so good to see you. I'm glad
I'm
to be doing this.
so happy to meet you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just, celebrate, grateful. God is great. Wonderful. My cast, Lee. It just made me think of all of them. This is making me just appreciate them even more.
Can you, before we get to talking about all of this beauty, I wanted to just, can you take us through a little bit and tell us how this role came to you, how this came to be?
Yeah. So this is, it's funny. Lee and I were actually forced on each other by our managers because I did not want to do the role and he did not want to meet me at all. He's like, nope, she's not an actress. I was like, no, I'm not an actress. And so it was like layers. It was fear, which was really
Mm-hmm.
dictating everything. I'm a fan of Lady Sings the Blues. I thought Diana was beautiful in that movie. And I
Yeah.
said, why would I want to remake that movie? She was perfect. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a deep fan of Billie Holiday. So I also knew that that movie wasn't the accurate picture of the government going after her. You know what I mean? It was what we needed and beautiful, but as a fan, I didn't want to remake that as well of both of those women. And I just didn't want to be terrible. I was like, shit, I'm about to like, why would they have me play my biggest inspiration? And I'm about to be out here looking so messy and crazy, but I'm glad I did. We had the meeting with Lee, and he saw something in me, and he connected me to my acting coach, Tasha Smith, who prepared me for the audition. And
Mm-hmm.
and I had to pray. I had to pray hard and heavy about it. And it was, I realized actually when I was praying, I was trying to pray it away. I was trying to make it go away.
Really?
I
Why?
was so
Because of the
scared.
fear? The fear?
Yeah. I was so scared. I just knew I was out of my depth. I knew I would not be good. And I was convinced of that. And so, but then I realized in that prayer, was sort of the revelation of I'll be caused to do an act of great faith right now. And so I was like, oh, crap. Okay, here we go. So I just dove in. I had to trust Lee, you know what I mean? And just trust what he was doing. And I'm glad I did because he's a visionary. He's brilliant. Yeah, Tasha is amazing. I saw somebody put that. Tasha, that's my sis. You know what I mean? And so, oh, see, everybody's so nice in here. Wow.
I know. Well, you were, I mean, I saw the film. I could not take my eyes off of you. And I thought, like, I couldn't believe that was the first time you were acting. And so beyond, you mentioned an acting coach. Was there any other sort of preparation? You also mentioned that, you were inspired by Billie Holiday. Like,
Yeah.
how did you prepare
Uh,
for this role?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, so much research. I knew a lot about her already. I did know about the government going after her,
I
just from
didn't
being a
know
fan
that.
growing up. So,
Yeah.
I feel like it's been researched since I was 11, right? Since I first heard
Wow.
her music, really, because I just love her so much. But we dove in and did a ton of deeper research just on her, and everything for me was addiction, studying addiction,
Mm-hmm.
understanding addiction as a mental illness, understanding
Mm-hmm.
it as trauma,
Yeah.
it's stemming from trauma as a sickness. Um, and then also, so studying that, studying the FBI, the FBN, and just these different iterations of these agencies, and, and, and just looking at every piece of every interview, every documentary I could get my hands on, reading every book, every shred or paper clipping about her. They'd write about her fashion or her addiction or how she was portrayed in the news and the media. And then the transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Filling all of that research with a human, which is what Lee and Tasha and Tom Jones, my dialect coach, helped me
Mm-hmm.
do. And then there was the physical. I put my body through a lot that is still recovering from. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink alcohol. I typically don't cuss, or I've made my own personal vow to be abstinent for the last almost 7 years now. So it's a different person, a different life, the way they engaged with life and with people. So I lost almost 40 pounds. I lost 39. I was still bitter about that 1 pound.
Wow.
But,
You
so
lost 39 pounds?
yeah, yeah. And so and then I started smoking cigarettes. I started drinking a lot of gin. I just started just cussing more, just being sexual in my behavior, just things that she would have engaged in very casually. I kind of I had to earn it in a short period of time. And I stopped taking care of my vocal cords, and it was pretty rough on them, and just not sleeping and not really eating or doing too much. So, I mean, it's a lot, it's a lot to put yourself through, but honestly, I would do it all again the same way, because Billie Holiday, I think, deserves that level of dedication.
But also that level of exploration, like that you
Yeah.
got to experience in the role that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I want to talk a little bit about these exquisite
Yeah, they're so
dresses and
beautiful.
gowns that Prada made for you in this role. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we know about the transformative power of clothes. Can
Mm-hmm.
you tell us a little bit about how these incredible dresses that you wore throughout the movie, how they helped you transform into Billie Holiday? Like,
Yeah.
how did you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting what they really helped me do. You know how, like, you are you in life, and every time you
Yeah,
put on a new outfit, there's a new iteration of you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Every single one of those dresses made me feel like a new iteration of Billie, because we had worked so much and so hard already. Everybody up. Oh, thank y'all. Everybody's so nice. This is a blessing. Yeah. Okay. Eartha Kitt. Okay. Oh yeah. I love her. 22 years of dance. I can put that to work. But,
yeah,
but yeah, but yeah. So it's interesting. I did. First of all, yes. When you put the clothes on, you get the makeup on, and it's not just that. It's the set design. It's Paolo Nieru's every detail about the fashions. Hair and makeup. It's the set design. It's Andrew
yeah,
Dunn, who was the most genius DP. The lighting, the vibe. I mean, and then all of my fellow actors were just, I mean, they were so in their characters,
yeah.
and so we just engaged with each other in that way. And it does drop you in, but we had done so much work leading up to it. It almost, instead of felt like, oh, we look like them, it just felt like, oh, there we are. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. It was like, okay, there's Jimmy. Okay, there's Billy. There's, Lester. There's Miss Freddie and Roz, and there's Harry Jansen. So it just felt like the clothes and the set and everything sort of caught up to where we were in our mind, and then we went even deeper. So it's funny. I mean, looking at those dresses, every
Yeah.
single one of them
I
brings
mean,
back.
there's one that's being cropped out, so I'm just going to turn because
Oh
look at
my
that
gosh,
one.
my interview, baby. With
Look
my
at that one.
terrible husband, Louis McKay.
Look at that dress. I mean, do you have a favorite?
Oof, let's see. Do I have a favorite? I mean, I guess if I had to pick, I guess one of my favorites would be the feather, the feather gown at the end when Jimmy and Billy are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're doing what we call the hood waltz. So it's not really a waltz, but it's you got a little handle on it. Thank you so much.
It's
But
so
yeah, so that's
beautiful.
one of my favorite. I have to say also the yellow, obviously
Yellow,
the
the
gold.
yellow.
The
Ah,
gold in the center is so gorgeous. It's hard to, all of them are an emotion, right? I mean, I guess I could look at them and dictate each of them by whatever husband she was with at the time. you know Knock them down.
um, but so that brings me to my next question because, you know, I've never acted in anything, but you always hear about the choices that actors have to make in portraying a role. And I wonder if, as you were preparing for this, you thought of certain choices that you were going to make. And then once you were in any of these amazing creations, it shifted your choice. Did they ever like make you rethink a choice, or were they more like, oh, this is just going to make me double down even harder because I'm making the right choice because now I feel empowered in this?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that before. Yes, I mean, you have to, make choices. And I absolutely did that. I mean, I did so much preparation before we got there. It was like, I think I was just, Tasha worked so intensively with me, and Tasha Smith was my acting coach, Tom Jones, my dialect coach. I and I just felt like it was this feeling of, like I said, still terror. You know what I mean? I was never prepared enough, never ever prepared enough. So
Really?
yeah, no, it was, and I would have a script, and the margins would be full of every little thing I could inform them with, and I walked into every scene just feeling like today's the day I'll be fired because I'm terrible. But yeah, I mean, what are some choices if I could remember specifically?
And maybe there were none. I just always think about, you know, when I hear actors speak about, you know, their craft, it's about, you know, making choices and bringing them to life. And I always wonder, you know, do the clothes
They do. I
help?
mean, honestly, I think they do. You know, like yes, there was a ton of choices that I had and that I made, and I think the main choice was that in certain scenes where I wanted to sort of be more, you know, okay, rough and just sort of scruffy and sort of
Yeah.
just really, you know, kind of, you know, the way I thought her spirit would be in that scene. It is a little bit when you put the dress on, you forget the same thing happens to her that happens to us when we put on a gown. You know what I'm saying? It changes the way you stand and
Yes.
how regal you are and how engaging you are, and it changes your confidence. So, you know, I think there were just certain scenes where I was like, all right, I could be a little rougher in this, but, you know, the way I feel in this dress is probably the way she would have felt when she put this on, you know, and then she had, you know, whether she was doing heroin or not at the time. I mean, there's a battery in her back that makes herself carry herself with more confidence. So I think more than anything, there were just certain scenes that I would play a little rougher and a little more angry, but that I just played more cool, effervescent confidence, right? With the underlying trauma as opposed to just, you know, kind of just angry or whatever. So yeah, it changes your posture, and I had to accept it. If it changes my posture, it changed Billie's posture. It's why
Right.
I'm remembering why she loved these gowns. She loved her gowns. She loved her fur, you know, and so, and then generally speaking, I wanted to make sure that each of the dresses was a part of her activism, you know, even though
Yeah.
she wasn't a conscious activist. You know, they hated seeing her in dresses. Why would this black woman be wearing furs and be wearing gorgeous gowns and wearing diamonds? And so it was a part of her statement, like, I can wear what I want, I can sing what I want, I can wear what I want. So that definitely colored how I would play her in different scenes.
You speak, or you've spoken a little bit about her trauma, and you know, I didn't know a lot about her.
Mm.
So I wonder, you know, because you were such a fan, was there anything that you really wanted the audience to learn about her from this role? Was there any, you know, like, if there's one thing that people walk away from this movie, I want them to know this about Billie Holiday.
Oh, that she was the godmother of civil rights as we know it. We would not have the landscape of civil rights that we have today, that we had in the 60s and the 70s. And we wouldn't have had that if it were not for her contribution and her sacrifice. You know, she is the first martyr in the war on drugs. You know, the war on drugs was actually really created to go after her, and then persisted as a way to dismantle Black influence and Black leadership and Black unity. And so she was sort of the prototype, you know. And so I want people to know, we owe her a debt of gratitude. We should say thank you to her, because she really gave up her life. She would not stop singing this song, though her life would have technically not really been easier. She was still a Black queer woman in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, but you know, she might have survived maybe had she stopped singing the song. So she knew that she always would say Harry Anslinger was going to kill me, and she didn't stop singing. That's pretty powerful. And so I
It's
would love for
unbelievable.
yeah, I'd love for the world to say thank you to the godmother of civil rights. That's who she was.
Yeah, and an activist, as I mean, to your point.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's a great civil rights leader. Hmm.
Which brings me to my next question. This is perfect. Thank you for setting that up so lovely.
Okay.
Um,
Boom.
so,
Segues.
so, so I'm just wondering, you know, the current social reckoning and Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, did you feel a sense of urgency in portraying this, in bringing this to life because of everything that we're experiencing right now? I mean,
Well, you know, in a sense, yes and no. And I say that because we shot this pre the George Floyd, right? We shot this before the explosion of the Black Lives Matter movement that we saw around the world.
yeah.
And so people would always be like, you know, in this time, is it amazing? You know, okay, we shot it before George Floyd, but we did not shoot it before Tamir Rice. We did not shoot it before Sandra
Hello.
Bland. We did not
Yep.
shoot it before Eric Garner. Did not
Yep.
shoot it before Trayvon Martin.
Yep.
Before Emmett Till, before Medgar Evers, before, you know, all of these sort of great martyrs and great leaders. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a film, you know, people want to talk about the relevancy of it. Now, it's always been relevant. And Lee says this so beautiful. It was relevant 10 years after she died. It's relevant in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s. It's always been relevant. This story of a dynamic, heroic, resilient Black woman is always relevant because it's always who we've been.
Yes.
That spirit and her spirit has really carried through. And so I'm grateful to God's timing for this coming out at this time, you know, because it's always been relevant, but we do have a stage. It seems like there is a stage and there's a platform and things are coming to a head and we're having sort of a levee breaking moment, you know, and I hope that it turns into that because we can't survive and we can't persist. You know, I think there's more visibility. We're starting to see like, oh, wow, Billie Holiday's story, her narrative was suppressed and it was lied about. How many other narratives? You know, why didn't we know before Hidden Figures that 3 Black women sent us to space and programmed the first computer, you know, or that a slave was responsible, his brave act was responsible for really netting us our independence as a nation, you know, or that a Black man, and, you know, was not just the peanut butter man, but that Carver really kept us from spiraling and into destruction during the Depression. So these stories need to be told, and I'm hoping we start to see just a flood of revelation was really what I call it. I think about a scripture that says what is done in darkness will always come out to light. And so we have to see those things, inject truth into a system that's been built on lies if we're going to dismantle it. So
I'm hoping that the success of this film leads to more of these stories being told, you know, and I encourage everyone out there to go and watch this movie because
please. And I have to say thank you. Thank you to you, and thank you to all of you guys in here who've been watching this movie and who've been supporting and like just everyone from all type of communities, you know, but also my sisters, like to Black women, to women of color, you know, to queer women, to you know, LGBTQ plus 2S, you know, to you know, gender nonconform, everybody who has been felt, seen, and represented. You guys have supported. Oh, I mean, Lee and I were just talking about it this morning. This love is so real and it's so felt.
So real.
Thank y'all. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Did you discover anything about Billie Holiday that you, through this process, that you didn't know before?
Well, first of all, the main thing I discovered was the Jimmy Fletcher piece, because I was like, who the hell is this? I'm an actual Billie Holiday fan, and I had no idea who Jimmy Fletcher was, which, like, Lee and I spoke about it. It made me mad. I was like, how was the government able to successfully keep me from knowing such an important piece of her life? I didn't know anything about. I knew that they went after her, but it was always just kind of vague, you know. And I didn't know that he was, and that they really played him, and that they had this sort of tumultuous relationship. There's only whispers of him. They were really able to kind of do away with his sort of memory, you know. But so I didn't know about the Jimmy Fletcher piece. That was so revelatory for me. The other thing I think I realized about Billie was just, I knew they went after her. I didn't know the degree to which they went after her. And it just made me go, damn, lady, you shouldered this. Those are broad shoulders, you know.
Yeah.
She didn't have a civil rights movement supporting her. Matter of fact, at the time, things have obviously changed now, but at the time, she didn't even necessarily have the support of the NAACP. They would write violation cards or whatever they were called. I can't recall exactly, so I'll check that. But about her behavior and her antics or certain things. And so, you know, she didn't have support oftentimes from her own community. And so, but she fought anyway. She integrated audiences anyway. One of the first artists to integrate Carnegie Hall. So I just remember, like, you know, I loved her already and I knew, but I really didn't know the depth to which, and I go, wow. And all of this while trying to battle her addiction and being really, the other thing, they were going after her for drugs while pumping her with drugs and setting her up. If you can imagine being in a rehab and turning over and seeing drugs on your nightstand, it was that nuance, you know, the way they went after her. So she's a hero. She's a titan, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What's next for you? Are you even thinking about that? Or are you just like taking in this moment?
I think, well, you know what? It's a little bit of both. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you honestly, when I was on the movie set, and listen, I'm telling you, particularly Trevante, Tyler, Divine, and Miss Lawrence would be laughing at me so much right now. They'd be like, girl, I thought you was going to retire. Because when I was on set, I was like, this is a little too much. So I didn't think I was going to do it again. But you know what? I definitely, I enjoyed the experience. As difficult as it was, I enjoyed it with all my heart. And if I can be another voice in the ring, right, with all of these other great, you know, Black women, with all these other minorities, these underrepresented groups, if I can be another hat in the ring to be acting, to be telling stories, and to be, you know, popping the lid off of all these stories, then yeah, I want to do it. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'll probably just do a little more acting. I've actually started writing and developing of some stories and ideas, and so yeah, I'm excited to just see more of these stories come to life that have, you know, that we've never known or learned about, you know.
So it's safe to say you've been bitten by the acting bug?
I think so. I've been bitten by the movie bug in general. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to like co-write, co-direct, co-produce things, and a little more acting. But yeah, I just want to tell stories. I want to tell stories, you know.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time. This has been so incredible. Again, congratulations. Thank you for bringing this story to life. And congratulations to the wonderful Mr. Lee Daniels also.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Lee.
And everyone who's involved in this film.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Everybody's like Eartha Kitt. I'm like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Get on.
They might be working. Yeah, got they on me. I'm into it. Thank y'all.
Thank you for your time. Take care. Bye.